G'day guys, Carter here from Drifta Stockton, and today I'm down at our Gosford store and I've got a tent flipped upside down here, and I'm going to be talking about the different mounting options that you can do with these tents. Now we're starting to see a lot of them get out there, people are mounting them on canopies, on roof racks, all sorts of things, so I just want to clarify how we suggest mounting it depending on your particular setups. Alright, so a few points I want to talk about first. One, these mounting rails on the bottom, you're not allowed to take these off. That will void warranty because obviously these are running along the tent, which strengthens the whole thing up. So you definitely want to leave those off. We've had a few people asking if they can take them off to get a little bit extra height, but no, you don't want to take these off. Now you'll notice down the side here, you've got extra holes, so you can actually move these rails in and out to accommodate your particular setup on your roof. So say that you've got a flat rack and the crossbars are in the way, you can actually move these out to accommodate your setup. The other thing I want to talk about is you got to make sure that your racks that you're mounting this on are rated to carry this. So you don't want to get anything off eBay or any cheap setup. Wherever you're getting it from, make sure it's a reputable brand, and you can check their specs on their website. Make sure that it's actually rated to handle this tent, because that's really important, because you don't want it to fly off, obviously. So yeah, stay away from the cheap racks, get something that's a reputable brand, and make sure it's fitted by someone that knows what they're doing at a shop, or if you're doing it yourself at home, make sure you know what you're doing. You got the right size drill bits, rivets, all that stuff, and yeah, just make sure that you get that right. Okay, so the first mounting option we're going to talk about is if you've got roof bars. Now, if you've got roof bars, comes with your saddle and all your bolts are included to be able to do that. Now, obviously, these rails are going to be sitting on top of your roof bars. This saddle is going to go underneath the roof bar, and you're going to slide your bolts in from one of three locations. So you've got a slot cut in the middle there that you can slide in from, or you can take the cap off either end and slide the bolts in from there. So obviously you want one bolt on either side of the roof bar, put your saddle over the top, then you want to have the split washer, then the washer, and then you want your wing nut, and you want the stem of the wing nut towards the bolt, that way that you've got that nice surface there to attach to the washer. So yeah, pretty simple. That's how you want to do it for mounting on roof bars. All the kits are supplied with the tent to be able to do that. Another thing you can also add to this kit is a Nyloc nut. Now, if you've got your saddles on there and then you've got your wing nuts, obviously they're not going to come loose because you've got your split washer, which keeps the pressure on it. But just for a little bit of anti-theft and a bit of peace of mind, you can also put a Nyloc nut over the top of the wing nut and just tighten that up, and that'll obviously lock against it and make sure that it's a bit harder to undo. So if someone was to come along and try and steal it, they can't just undo the wing nut by hand, and yeah, just a little bit more security. Alright, so the other option we're going to talk about is if you're mounting it onto the headboard and the ladder rack of a tray, or if you're mounting it to the top of a flat roof canopy. Now, the best way to do this is instead of going the 8 bolts that it comes standard with the saddle, we're going to go 4 bolts. And what you're going to do is line the tent and the extrusion rails up on your canopy and mark it along the side. And what you want to do is drill a hole straight through the extrusion and put your bolt from underneath. So push the mattress out of the way, put your bolt from underneath, which with a nice large flat washer in it. Put it straight through the bottom of the extrusion, and that'll go through the hole in your canopy, and then you can put a big flat washer on the other side and a Nyloc nut. So this is just because you'll be mounting it with 4 bolts rather than 8. So just say you've got 2 bolts through the back of your ladder rack and 2 bolts for your headboard. You want to put it straight through the top of the extrusion, just because it's going to be a little bit stronger and you've got less bolts, obviously. So it's going to be easier to take on and off because you've got less bolts to fiddle around with. But yeah, you're going to want to drill that through the extrusion, and when you put it back on, obviously your canopy is going to have the holes in the same spot anyway. It's a lot easier to line up. You just drop it through the holes that you've already drilled in the extrusion, drop that straight on top of your canopy or your ladder rack and headboard, and chuck your bolts in the bottom, and it's good to go. Alright, so that's a bit of a rundown of the different fitting options with this tent. Just to recap, if you're using roof bars, you want to use the hardware provided and the saddle. If you're mounting to a headboard and a ladder rack or the top of a flat canopy, you want to drill your hole through the extrusion, pop a nice large M8 bolt through, and a nice large washer on the bottom and a Nyloc nut, and that's the way you want to fit it for those 2 options. Now, of course, just to reiterate this point, you've got to make sure that your roof rack or your roof bars are fitted correctly. So obviously this is only going to be as strong as your roof bars are, so make sure that they're a good brand and fitted by a reputable shop. And just finally, we haven't been able to find a setup that this tent hasn't been able to fit on, but if you've got something unique and you're not too sure, I'll put our contacts down below so you can give us a call or send us an email, and we'll talk you through your setup. Righto, cheers guys.